The dumpster is on fire. I mean, we're live.
I thought that was Derek's line. Wasn't
that's
a dumpster fire for like 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, 2 or 3 months, more like.
Yes.
But things are going better now, right?
Well, let's talk about that.
Hey, I saw
Sorry
your
I brought it
birthday
up.
email. Yeah, happy birthday.
Yeah. So my birthday, right? So I last week we talked about my idea of doing 38 for 38, where I gave 38% off. Sold 16 of those, which was friggin' awesome. $3,600 day with that. 16 people signed up for that. One person signed up for the monthly account, which the discount didn't apply to that.
So you sold a bunch of yearly.
Yeah, this discount
awesome.
only applied to the annual. So that's $216 per person. One person upgraded from an old monthly plan, which thank you. So I'll just leave it at that. So yeah, one person upgraded from an old monthly plan, so it cost them $210
For nothing.
So, hold on, let's run some math real quick. So you sold the yearly for how much with the discount?
It was $216.
$216. Okay, so divided by 12 is $18 a month, and then your average customer value before
was like $10 before.
Or well, how many months? It was like 5 months.
Oh, like 4 months, 3 to 4
months times 4, so 72. So you said 260.
Yeah, 216.
216 was what the price?
Yeah, with the discount.
216 minus 72. Whoops, why did I come up? 216 minus 72. Okay, so 144. So you netted 144. So the reason why I'm interrupting to say this is because you found a price that people are buying at.
Right.
And it's more profitable than your monthly price.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So so maybe you just need to drop prices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's some, when I talked with I can't remember his name from Egghead.io at MicroConf last April. He said he had tried multiple price ranges in the past, including 300, 350 range type stuff, and what he found was that people stopped buying at when you got over 200. And I've had a large number of people basically tell me the same thing, that not a large thing, but a fair number of people tell me the same thing, that once something got over $200 for an annual subscription, they started questioning the monthly cost of that, because it got out of the range of a couple of Starbucks trips.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So maybe your pricing then should be like, maybe you should have $199.
Yeah.
As your kind of base tier, and maybe you can price anchor it by having a higher grade tier that's like $300 or even $350, where you've got something else you're throwing in there but really you're just expecting you're just using that as a price anchor to get people to see the $199 as a higher value.
Right. I could do something like the personal support from me as the 350 tier.
Yep.
Yeah, something that won't cost you anything if they don't bite on it.
Right.
Yeah, and then maybe somebody
make it high, make it like $500 a month.
Yeah.
Or
which is what my previous marketing guy had suggested doing as well. He had been since like day one of him working with me, he was trying to convince me to bump the price up to $500 a month.
Yeah, I think the idea here is to find a price. I mean, you can just literally just change it. Don't announce it. Just like
today.
I
just did it.
This week we've in the past 2 weeks I've tried 3 different prices for the blogging workbook, and we're trying $1 on the blogging workbook, and then charging. Them trying to do a one-time upsell to how to market yourself. So, I mean, yeah, I think the point is to get to find a price point where your customer value is higher than what it was before.
Right.
So probably somewhere between 99 and 199. Even 99 at this point would be a big improvement over what it was.
No, 99 would be less than what I had previously done. Because
Really?
The very first annual that I put in place was 139, and people were paying for it.
But I mean, but most people weren't. Your customer value was $14 times 4, roughly. Yeah. So it was more like $50. So 99 would still be an improvement.
That's true. That's a good point.
I would say just drop it incrementally until you start seeing like a decent number of sales, and then you can start to when you don't have the birthday special.
Right.
That's the other thing here is that was like there was scarcity and urgency, and in the past you've had good success selling monthly subscriptions with a similar type of strategy. So.
Right. Yeah, and one thing though too with testing this is you do have to have enough traffic that you can get some statistical significance to know.
Yeah, that's why I've let the current pricing model run for however long it's been, May, June, July, August. So but 6 months, 5 months.
Yeah.
One way to test it to get more mileage out of your test, and that just might be a good idea in general, which we've kind of adopted with Simple Programmer, is that, gosh, it's so funny. If you listen to Entre Programmers, you can you be like, get the best deals from all of us. Like, figure it out. But see, we don't hold anything back. But what we basically do with all of our products now is we sell it to you first at the full price, and then afterwards, if you haven't bought, then we do the discounted, the personal sale, the time.
Yeah,
discount.
I've started doing that with my bundle sales emails as well.
Which you could kind of do. I mean, you could essentially do the same thing you did for the birthday thing, but just make it so that when people like sign up or they're interested in Watch Me Code, you can have the one price that you're testing, and then you can test another lower tier price with the sale,
right?
Or just have that policy in general. That seems to work well for us because we do get a large amount of people that buy at the full price, but then we pick up some other people that buy at the sales price, and so this way we're essentially getting both of those price tiers, putting people through both, so we don't have to. But you could do that for sure, because that the discounting and the time thing definitely helps. So you may get better results doing that than just discounting the price from the start.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll probably end up trying something like that.
But this is good news because you found a price that people buy at, right?
Yeah.
So you can do it. So,
can I ask a related question while we're on the topic of discounts? Mm-hmm. Because I'm looking at doing a discount. You were talking about your birthday sales, and I was like, I want to do a birthday sale, but my birthday's not till December. So, so then it'd be like Merry Christmas Day. Anyway.
Black Friday, yeah.
Yeah. Black Friday, Christmas, birthday, whatever. Anyway, so I thought, okay, well, what could I do? And I celebrate my Independence Day is what I call it every September, because on September 16th, I got laid off.
Oh.
And so it's a little bit late. It's the 23rd today, so it's already a week later. But I thought about sending out an email and basically saying, look, it's Independence Day. Traditionally, Independence Day is 7/4, so you can get everything for 26% off. So it's 74% of the original price. And but for me, it would be more about letting people know, hey, the conference videos are up. Hey, you can get access to these webinars. You can get a pre-order of the book. You can sign up for the upcoming conferences for that price. Would that make sense, just in the way of saying, hey, look, come get all my stuff for a discount?
So let me give you a little story about the arbitrary nature of discounts. couple of years ago, before John and Josh and I even started meeting, I went out of town with my family for the weekend. And I knew I wasn't going to have my computer, knew I was barely going to have my internet connectivity on my phone. And so I sent out a tweet or two and an email, I think, and said, I'm out of town this weekend, get 20% off. And the stipulation, the time constraint for getting the 20% off was Friday after I left home until Monday night when my kids went to bed.
Right.
So it's completely 100% arbitrary, and it was a very successful sale.
Okay.
Had a lot of people buying screencast bundles that weekend. And a lot of people were paying attention to Twitter because when I got home on Monday afternoon, Monday evening, or whatever it was, I started tweeting, hey, my kids are going to be going to bed in 2 to 3 hours. You better get this discount soon.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And then, hey, I'm getting my kids ready for bed. Discount's almost over. Hey, I'm going to go tuck my kids in now.
And then my kid's going to be in bed.
I'm going to go tuck my kids in. You got 10 minutes. You know, so it was completely arbitrary, just completely random. There was no reason to do it other than I felt like doing it, and I made it fun. It made it, you know, made it so that you really didn't know when the sale was going to end because, you know, who knows when my kids were going to be.
Point.
And it was very successful.
That helped you with this current sale that you did too, Derek.
Yeah.
Because it was limited to 38 people.
Right.
And you didn't know. There was no counter. There was no ticker. So you didn't know.
So I guess what I'm asking, though, is this a good way to let people know, hey, I've got this stuff that you would like?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, any kind of excuse you can come up with, like, it doesn't matter. It's like the sale.
Yeah, and you can do, I mean, you could do it. You could experiment with it this time just to make it easy and just blast it to everyone and, like, make it on everything. You know, in the future, you could get fancy and maybe segment it down and compare the results. But, yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with 20% off everything or whatever. And, you know, just link them.
That's true, because I could do, like, the Ruby releases for the new versions of Ruby used to get released on Christmas Day. And so I could do something for the Ruby list related to Christmas, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Stuff like that. And so then it's kind of a fun, anecdotal, this was what our community did kind of thing, as well as a sale.
Yep.
Okay. Sounds good. Anyway, back to Derek.
Yeah, so Tuesday was my birthday. So that big sale happened on Tuesday. Sold 16 of them, which was pretty dang nice. I'm basically putting every last penny of that into my credit card debt, which after I take taxes out will be about $2,400 that I get to pay down, which is definitely nice. But aside from that, from a personal perspective, this week and the first half of my birthday were pretty much shit. and I guess to illustrate that, started seeing a therapist on Wednesday. Not that there is some major, huge, traumatic thing that happened or anything like that, but realization that there's enough stress in my life and enough problems with me interacting with people in the real world to where I need help. I legitimately need help figuring out how to not be such an asshole in the real world sometimes. I mean, like when we're on this podcast, when I'm talking on a podcast or giving a presentation, when I'm out in the general public, it's easy for me to put on the face of, okay, I need to temper what I say. I need to slow down and think more. But when I get home and I'm in this comfortable, familiar environment, well, then it's like I let my guard down. I let all of my my emotional energy finally relax so I can recharge, and I end up being a jerk half the time. And it's not pleasant to be around me on a pretty regular basis, for my wife or my kids. And so Tuesday morning, birthday day, I end up with one of my kids crying, my wife screaming at me, and me refusing to step out of my office because I know that I'm going to yell at somebody if I do. And so that afternoon, I started making phone calls to various therapists around the area and found somebody that my wife and I both have she has a history with, and I've known about him for a while. He was able to get me in on Wednesday and start the process. And so I'm going back in a week and a half, and it's going to be every week after that. But this is something that, aside from me dealing with the issue, this is also something that I think is important to talk about. Not because I'm looking for any kind of sympathy or looking for a reason for people to say, oh, he's just going through some tough times and we need to help him. I'm not, I'm getting the help I need. I don't need more of that kind of help from other people necessarily. I mean, if you see me being an asshole, then certainly call me out and ask me what's going on. But the point of talking about this right now is really there's a lot of stigma around mental health and your ability to deal with shit in your life, especially in the tech workspace where we are expected to be so logical and thought-oriented and analytical and everything. But the truth is we're all human beings.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And life gets overwhelming at times. Things get out of hand. The combinations of everything. It's like I told my therapist on Wednesday, this is not the result of some major thing. I can deal with one-time major things. This is death of 1,000 paper cuts.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're trying to figure out where all of those paper cuts are coming from and how I can be mindful of them when I'm in this situation so that I can work on destroying the bad habits that I currently have and building new ones. And I want to talk about this on this show because there are a large number of people that listen to us that are going through entrepreneurial, startup, independent life kind of situations where people often have this notion that you have to be Superman and you have to just grit your teeth and bear it and you have to just push through it. And that's not true. If you find yourself in a situation where life is difficult and you don't have the support you need and you're struggling, find someone to talk to, whether you are officially going to therapy and paying someone or you're seeing a religious leader that you trust, or you just have a good group of friends that will listen to your struggles and be there to support you. Whatever it is that you need to do, take the time to do it. You don't want to end up in a situation where you are ostracizing your loved ones, your friends and family, because you've become such a jerk that they don't want to be around you. I mean, my son has been walking around the house saying, "Daddy is mean," for the last 2 weeks. And it damn near makes me cry every time he says it. I laid on that bed right there Wednesday morning for about an hour feeling like the most alone person in the world. Like scared out of my mind, not sure what was going to happen that day. And my wife and I, we got back together for lunch after I had cooled off and she had taken the kids to school and everything, and it was difficult at first. There were tears, but once we got past that initial difficulty, we went to lunch and we made the rest of the day better. You know, it's not that we are necessarily in danger of getting a divorce or anything, but there's this constant underlying tension, especially from me, where I overreact, I react poorly, I don't think about the way I'm saying things, I just let things come out of my mouth, and it's not good. So that's where I am with you know, my personal life, which also affects my business life. There never is a clean separation, especially when I work at home, self-employed. Right. I don't have that 30-minute drive home where I can decompress from the day. You know, my decompression time is more like 30 seconds. Oh, crap, there's my wife and the kids. I better stop what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I'm glad you're sharing this, definitely. Like, you know, and I think you are dealing with a lot of difficulty, especially, you know, you've got a special needs kid that, you know, that has had, I mean, plus being an entrepreneur, you know, all of these things definitely, you know, are going to pile up. But one thing I'd recommend to, you know, in all seriousness, like, I mean, it's good that like you've recognized a problem and you're going to get help for it. So that's like, you know, big thumbs up for doing that. I would highly recommend looking at some of Tony Robbins' stuff. Yeah. Like going through Awaken the Giant Within is probably a really good book for you, or maybe even looking at some of his videos. I would, I'm going to UPW in November. Mm-hmm. I don't know if there's still tickets or if you could get in, you know, if you're interested, and maybe I can get you a discount, or maybe we can figure something out. But
the real issue would be time, and I don't have a whole lot of time for travel and things these days.
Okay. It's like a 2 or 3, I guess it's like a 3-day event in San Jose. But even if you just got a hold of, you know, if you just grab the Awaken the Giant Within book and go through that, one really awesome thing about that book is it's sort of like when I went to Date with Destiny last year, it's kind of the Awaken the Giant Within. Like it's what it is basically is like you're looking at your values and you're prioritizing them. There's like 6 basic human needs, which are the need to for certainty, for uncertainty, for contribution, growth, significance, and I'm leaving one out.
Whatever it is.
But anyway, like we all have sort of priorities on this. And it kind of, the whole thing is really like reconstructing your life based on or love. There you go. Connection or love, right? And so it's reconstructing those, like seeing where you are and actively reconstructing your life based around kind of the values that you want to have. And it could be really, I think it could really help you in that, you know, in that situation to be able to like, because you're analytical, because you can look at this. And I appreciate, again, you know, part of the reason why I do a lot of what I do with the YouTube with Simple Programmer is because of exactly what you said, which is that we are humans and and so many of us as engineers or analytical people, we're afraid to, you know, address some of these emotional issues. And so everyone is fighting this struggle alone that they feel like, you know, and it's not true. We're all have the same experience, you know, in that respect. Like we all go through bouts of depression and not feeling adequate and feeling like a jerk and like all of these things. And we all have bad habits and we all have all these issues. And it's so much better if we can realize that we're not fighting the battle alone. Mm-hmm. You know, that was the beauty of that book, of The War of Art, was that, hey, we're all fighting this same battle of procrastination and stuff. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that's obviously I'm very aligned with that, with what you said, with that mission, because that's my mission really with the YouTube, is to try and like let's be a little bit more human and realize that we have these problems and start addressing these things, because it doesn't matter how sharp you are as an engineer or as an entrepreneur, if your mind is all screwed up and you are going through these emotional battles and you can't figure out how to weather the storm and find support, like you said, it's going to all crumble. Like you can't hold the ship together. So yeah, so I appreciate you saying that.
So 2 last things. One, I'll say the decision to see a therapist is surprisingly easy. Making the phone calls is incredibly difficult. I mean, even as somebody who had already made the decision, and I look up Waco therapists, and there's 1,000 of them, and then you can overanalyze. Well, what's this person's style? What's that person's style? Do I like the way that they, it's really, really, really easy to find reasons not to make those phone calls and find someone to talk to. But it's like anything else that we do. You got to pick one and go and see if you like them. I mean, literally, if you've made the decision that you need to see a therapist, pick the first one that shows up in your Google search. Go see him. And if you don't like him, go see someone else.
Yep.
These therapists understand that they are not the right person for everyone. Yep. And they will help you find someone that is right for you if they aren't the right person for you. So that, and anybody that really is interested in understanding this problem at a larger scale, check out osmihelp.org. It's run by Ed Finkler, who's pretty well known in the PHP community. He's working for Graph Story, I think, at this point. But he has a large number of resources at osmihelp.org. They recently got 503C status. They've got a team of people running the website and providing resources for not only for people that need help, but also for people that want to help. It's a pretty phenomenal set of resources.
Yeah, I just want to chime in here too. I mean, the way you're talking about things, it doesn't sound like it's clinical depression or some kind of, physiological or chemical thing. It's just.
And I've gone through depression before. I know what that's like, and that sucks.
Yep.
But this is not at this point for me. It's definitely not that. It's I am not reacting well to these situations, and I've known this for quite some time, and I haven't been able to fix it myself. I need help.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, because I've been there a few times. I've never actually gone and seen anyone, but I've done the, hey, I just need to talk.
Yeah.
And just gotten with somebody, and I've considered a few times just it's like, look, I'm just not dealing well with life, and it's really kind of got me off center in a way that's affecting a lot of things, including my family, and so it probably wouldn't have been a long-term engagement had I engaged somebody.
Right.
But at the same time, it's a common enough thing that people go through that if you can recognize, hey, I've got a problem and I'm not finding any good solutions, then yeah, hire somebody to help you figure it out.
It's kind of funny. I was actually going to talk about this week. I was having those again. I keep on getting in this funk where I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm just going to go, having those flashbacks. And I was trying to figure out what was causing it. And I had the sleep problem. And then I think this week I took some nootropics. And I think they had the opposite effect on me. I think they actually, I literally could not lift weights at the gym. I had to force myself. I mean, I do pretty grueling workouts, but I mean, it was just my wife was like, this is how maybe what you're experiencing now is how normal people feel in their everyday life. And I was like, oh no.
Poor John, feeling like a normal people.
Yeah, sorry, you're not Superman after all.
But no, but I say it for 2 reasons. One, because it's a constant battle, right? It's you're just gonna go through those times, and I don't know. I can identify certain reasons why, and I think that the nootropics did have an effect. I think they did. I think maybe like I said, I'm quote ADHD, so maybe it actually had didn't increase my focus, but just totally sapped all my, or maybe it sapped, used some brain chemicals that now sapped me, made me physically exhausted and unable to, to push forward and do. So I don't know what the exact cause is, but it doesn't matter, because it's like, you're going to face the battle all the time. And you just kind of got to get like used to, like, this is, for some unknown reason, you're going to just feel like you can't get stuff done. And, I'm doing better now, but I'm going through definitely one of those phases where it's like, I feel like just quitting and giving up on everything, and depressed about it, but I'm going to soldier on, and try to, and know that it's, it's either going to resolve. If it doesn't, and if I'm like 2 months down the road, and I'm just still feeling like crap about stuff, then maybe it's time to make it some kind of a shift. But yeah, I don't know. It's definitely been a tough one for me too. Maybe it's something like with the sun. Maybe it's an astrological thing, and we're like, Derek is like, are you Pisces? Are you like fighting? Like, are you like a fish snapping at, like, and maybe I'm like, whatever. Maybe our astrological signs are causing us, because of where the sun is, or where the earth is in relation to the sun, and like it's causing weird reactions. But I don't know.
Something, I don't know.
John's already absorbing the California culture.
Yes, he is.
What's that?
Mr. San Diego.
He's got some crystals hanging there in the background. I can see.
Crystals? Oh, you know what that is? This is the coolest thing. Shoot. If I can zoom in on this, let me see if I can.
Oh boy, here we go.
So while he's trying to do that, I will say that in spite of such a horrible Tuesday for personal reasons, this has been one of the most productive weeks that I've had from a Watch Me Code perspective. I've made some significant changes to the website in the last few days, and have a whole lot more that I'm working on as well.
John, maybe it would make more sense to either
bring
give
the picture to the camera.
Yeah, his manual zoom abilities really suck.
Yes. Wow, this is
John, you're making me sick. Oh.
Feel sorry for anybody watching the video.
Well, the thing is that we all see each other because we're talking and not. But anyway, you've been sending over your like mock-ups and your other things, and it looks really good. Just from the standpoint of, hey, I know how to get what I want now, right? It's like, okay, I want to watch a screencast, or I wanted to learn more about Express, and there's a space where it's going to land, and all of those, really, I think that's really going to make a big difference. Just because people are going to get in and they can immediately engage on what they want, and then turning monthly back on. I was like, I don't know if that's really what you want to do, but the way that you set things up and the way that you're looking at moving forward with this, I think that's all really healthy. So,
yeah. I was also not, when you first suggested that, I thought your intention was to go back to $14 a month.
No,
right. Yeah, and so, I was thinking that it would be better to drop your price on the annual, but I like the way that you have implemented it, and I think
and I still need to make some changes on that pricing page based on the feedback from you guys. I'm going to list out some more details about the books and the interviews and things like that. I'm trying to figure out how to do that without making it just obtusely terrible looking. Like I thought, oh, well, maybe I can put, sections down below the pricing for each of those and have and then it's like, no, this isn't a long form sales page. This is a pricing page. I should have those sections on the home page because the home page is the long form sales page. So it's just a question of, I need to put together some mock-ups or whip out some ideas on the page directly or something, figure out what's going on with all of it, and
you could even do like 3 to 5 bullet points of samples as a sampler, and then like the and more type of thing. So you at least give, because I mean, like 10 ebooks, I mean, who cares, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So and I wouldn't even necessarily pitch them as ebooks, and it's more like take it more from the problem angle or the content angle. But yeah, I agree, definitely.
There's those changes I want to make. I revamped the CSS on the site slightly to make it more consistent, so that I don't have that weird greenish blue in there anymore. Now the color scheme is black, yellow, and white, with the JavaScript yellow as the primary yellow, and then I have a couple of different shades of that for highlights and darker versions of it. I got my buttons cleaned up for the CSS and colors. There's a bunch more sections of the homepage that I need to add, but I started working on that dashboard idea this morning, and I've got the core of it laid out. I'm working on the widgets to fill in the content of each space now. The idea of the guided learning that I put in there, I've had a number of people suggest that type of thing over the last few months, including a couple of people in the Watch Me Code community Slack recently. And everybody seems to think, yeah, that'd be a great idea. I really want something like that. And so what the gist of that is to go beyond the individual series and say, oh, you wanted to learn Express and learn how to, write clean code in Express and modularize your application design and grow and scale with better architecture. Okay, well here you start with this series, then you go to that series, and then you go to RabbitMQ, and here's the MongoDB, to give them the guided path through, not just here's some Express ideas to play with, but go from A to Z to get the big picture, everything that you need in order to build these high quality production ready applications.
I'm seeing like on your homepage 3 like goals, right? Yeah. Like, are you this person, or this person? You click through that and you have a page where you basically lay out the learning plan that you're talking about, and then you have the buy now button at the bottom.
Right.
Yep.
I really like that approach, because it's 100% focused on the person and the problem they're trying to solve.
Right.
Yep.
And I can do that with the Express architecture route, and then there's the development tools route, which would include like Babel.js and Browserify and Gulp, or not Gulp, Grunt and Docker, and so there's a number of different number of those paths that I can send people down in order to give them the real path to mastering that particular need, which I think is going to help a lot. It's also going to help me focus my content. It's going to give me these larger buckets to put the content series into in order to send them down these paths.
Yep. Take a look at go to videofruit.com real quick and take a look at the homepage that Brian has up there, and scroll down below the fold. This is kind of what I was visualizing when you were talking.
Yeah. Okay.
What
step do you need help with? Grow your email list, create your product, launch your product.
So like I want to improve my productivity as a developer. I want to improve my team's productivity. I want to I need to scale up an app, et cetera, et cetera.
I need something to be mobile friendly. I need performance improvements.
Yep. And a lot of it will end up being the same content, right? It'll just be mishmash.
Talking about it different ways.
Yep. So,
which this brings me back to Josh's training on formulating basic personas. I'll need to identify not only the path that people can take, but the persona that it will match, so that I can write everything appropriately.
Yeah, I think that was something that was really helpful. I think it was Josh's email where he basically said, yeah, I work off an avatar, but a lot of people have more than one. And that was always my hang up with avatars. Yeah, what about
exactly.
this person, and what about that person?
If you have a real business, you're going to have more than one avatar. That's just that's like just the reality of it. And
yeah, but that took me to that place where it was like, oh, okay, so I can focus on avatar number 1, and then when I've got things figured out for avatar number 1, then I can, hit avatar number 2, or I can do basic stuff for each one and then build on that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And having that pathway for the different avatars gives me a concrete example. The Video Fruit page gives me a concrete example of how to direct the avatar through the page, through the site.
Yep.
Which his site looks terrible on a giant monitor. his background image is way off, and there's too much empty space that doesn't have anything in it.
Damn it, you're such an asshole, Derek.
I am. Jeez.
It's even coming out on Entreprogrammers now. That's it.
What was I going to say? I had something useful to add.
But the last thing I was going to say about the dashboard is my original intent of the dashboard was to make it, paid only. You got to be a member to see it. But when I started seeing the feedback from you guys, I'm like, oh, well, of course that should be public. People should be able to see it. They can't view the content, but why shouldn't they be able to see the layout and the organization and everything? Because they want to know.
Yeah, and then you can kind of pitch it as like, so I'm in this, the workout plan that I'm doing now is this gymnasticbodies.com. It's like this gymnastics program, and they have like 7 or 8 different programs that you can take, and they're all like basically video courses.
I want to see you do a backflip right now.
No, it's strength training. It's not really. It's not skills training.
Josh worked out with me when we were at SumoCon though, and he was doing ring pull-ups, and it was quite impressive. Because normally, I go and do pull-ups with people, and they're like, and it's like, oh, how many can you do? Maybe I can do 6, and they do 2, and that's But I think Josh was repping out 8. Was that?
I was doing 7. I did 4 rounds of 7. Yeah, on the rings, which I haven't even specifically done pull-ups. I've been doing other moves that are similar to pull-ups, but I haven't done pull-ups in a couple of months. So I had no idea what to expect, and I think my max actually on pull-ups is 9 on a bar that I've ever done, and I haven't done them in 2 months now, and I've hit 7 on the rings, which is harder. So it's working.
Wow,
nice.
Yes. So the way that they have their set up is it's basically everything's there, but it's all locked, right? So you can see what you're missing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Did you want that? Well,
this stuff's grayed out. So I'm seriously considering. They have their beginner strength training program, and then they've got their handstand progression. So you work your way up to a handstand and handstand push-ups. And I'm seriously considering adding that in. If I buy it, then it'll unlock it in my dashboard, and I can see, I can actually use it. But right now I can see it every time I go to do my workouts. And it's right there. So.
I could be doing handstand push-ups, but
that gives me another idea, tangentially an idea for the pricing structure with the monthly subscription. I mean, maybe I'm going to leave the pricing alone for a while I'm working on all these features and designs and whatnot to see if the features and designs will have an effect.
I would play with the pricing while you're doing that, because you can collect some useful data. I mean, I would say drop your prices a little bit and see if you get any traction with them. But sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, I can with the whole guided learning bit. I mean, that's another thing that I can include in the annual only, and then I can there's a lot of additional tweaks I can make, to the dashboard. If you're an annual member, if you have the right access level, you'll get to see the guided learning. If not, you'll see the demo version of the guided learning, where it just gives you information.
I'll send you an email with a bunch of Amazon S3 links in it. And you can sort it out yourself.
Right. There's something to that effect, where they see, oh, this is what the guided learning really is, but they don't get the real list of how to progress through things.
Mm-hmm. It'd be awesome for you. It just occurred to me, like, is if you put together just a kick-ass, like, beginner introduction to JavaScript course and you put it out for free on Udemy.
I'm never, ever, ever going to go anywhere near Udemy.
Well, I mean, okay, like
another site somewhere, YouTube, free on my site, whatever it is, sure, but
yeah, but okay, I don't like Udemy. They messed me over hardcore, right? Like, they actually put my courses up and sold them for like $10 and like all kinds of messed up stuff, and then they didn't take them down and all kinds of stuff, right? I'm not a big fan of Udemy.
Yeah, they actively encourage content theft and fraud.
Yeah, fine, totally, yeah, but
if you're putting it out for free, then put it on YouTube and Udemy and everywhere else, and then you bring more people in.
I cannot in good conscience support that company in any way, and publishing something on there would be an implicit support of what they're doing.
Look, you know what? People kill dolphins when they make tuna fish. like when you get honey, you kill some bees. Like,
and that's
there's all kinds of stuff. Like, if you buy blue jeans, Chinese people get raped. It's like all this stuff happens. Like,
but that's why I created Albacore back in my Ruby days. It was dolphinsafe.net tasks for rape. Like,
I'm not saying that there's not hills that you should die on. I'm not saying that you should take blood money, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, someone has stolen the stereo, don't buy the stereo. I totally agree. I'm not going to be like, well, dude, you need a stereo. I get that.
But take a little bit of blood money.
Like, is this really a hill you want to die on? Like, are you really going to help this company by, like, use it to get some free exposure? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, like Chuck said, put on YouTube too. But
I get your point, and I can find a company to do that other than Udemy.
No, you're not going to find their audience. They have a much bigger audience. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Think about it. Don't like, I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of every single company. You can't buy anything if you're going to have that. I mean, every single company is, every CEO and, corporation has some kind of dirt that you can pull up. And, like I said, I'm not a big fan of Udemy, but I would put my course out there for free if it's going to get me leads, if it's going to benefit me. I'm not, it's not like you're like, supporting them, like saying everyone come to Udemy. Like, it's like you realize that they have like millions of people audience that you could get. It's an opportunity for you, so I mean, hell, you shouldn't use the internet if you, because I guarantee you every single internet provider is an asshole, like, and is exploiting, multiple, people, just, so, censorship, all kinds of stuff. So bandwidth throttling, oh, gosh, don't get me started.
I've got a all things considered, my internet provider is phenomenal by most standards. They're a really good company that treat people well. You can see it when you walk into the office, and the employees are enjoying their time there. They're talking and having fun and friendly and courteous. So you don't get people like that working for you if the company doesn't treat you right.
Well, but remember Jared from Subway?
Yeah, let's talk about the atrocities that he's done.
Dude, I cover my mouth when I laugh at what John says.
Yes.
You're being implicated by my bad humor, but just by association. But he was a nice guy. But
it turned out to be not so nice.
Oh man.
So.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you can't like.
Oh man.
You got to pick the hills to die on, honestly.
Yeah, I get it. I get
really
it.
Bad, I mean, if Udemy was like, was circumcising Nigerian women, I would be like, okay, yeah, let's.
You're gonna really have to stop with those kinds of commentaries, because that's just really
Well, no, that's serious. Like that's a serious issue that I would actually have that I would die on that hill. Like that's wrong and messed up, right? I mean, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not.
No, I get that.
Light of something that is like serious. I'm making serious of something that's light.
Okay.
Wrap that around your brain, but sure. But what I'm saying is like, yeah, if they're like grossly abusing, like then that's totally a different thing. Like I would never. I wouldn't visit a brothel that had underage, workers. That would be wrong. So.
All right. Anyway,
all right,
moving on.
Another metaphor. Is there anything else you wanted us to help you with, Derek?
I don't think so.
John, in particular, John will help you.
I'm
yeah.
sure.
Oh,
no,
man.
I think I'm done. That was my week. All those updates, everything. So Next.
Did that work? Did it zoom in on the poster? Were you guys able to see the poster?
No, it was a complete train wreck.
It was a total train wreck.
I dropped the link in there for you guys. So for this guy, he's got some pretty awesome stuff. It takes a little bit to get your head wrapped around, but the one that I have is the charlatan martyr hustler, and you can see like it's got at the top of the scale talk and then work, and the charlatan is all talk and no work. The martyr is all work and no talk, and the hustler is talk and work, which is cool. I like that. So and he's got a couple other really interesting ones. I think that one, he's got this beginner, expert, master one, which is really, really cool because it's like these mountains are almost like icebergs that are, covered by water. The beginner one, is a small, and you can see the tip, and then the expert one, you can see this huge mountain and there's not a lot underneath, but the master looks a little bit lower. It looks like a beginner, like that's peeking out of the water, but there's this huge, massive mountain underneath. This guy's got, he's got some pretty good grasp on human psychology. So
nice. Yeah. We'll put that link in the show notes.
Yeah. JoeyRoth.com.
Yeah, these are some pretty good posters.
I like the well-rounded and obsessed one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll gaze deeply into this website.
30 minutes of silence for this
I know,
episode
right?
while we all look at these.
But so I had a few things go on this week. One is that I did my webinar for Ruby Rogues listeners, and it was about a half hour long, and I basically just explained where I want to go from here for the show, and then I asked for input. I got a whole bunch of great input. The other thing is that when I sent the email out to let people know that the webinar was going to happen, I got a whole bunch of email back from people just saying, hey, I love the show. I'm looking forward to what you do with it now. And so it's been a really positive week this week. I've just had a lot of people reach out and just let me know that they care. And it's been way cool. So I'm really looking forward to where we're going to go with Ruby Rogues. And just having that conversation with listeners has been really cool.
Nice.
So what was some of the feedback as far as like where people want it to go?
So most people were pretty much in line with what I was thinking. There were a fair few people that wanted to hear more content about Ruby, more about tech. There were people that kind of expressed that over the last year-ish, the show hasn't been what they wanted it to be for various reasons. And then there were other people that were just like, you know what? I've loved the show since the beginning, and I have every confidence that you'll find a panel that will make it awesome still. So yeah, but most people wanted us to kind of refocus on technology and talk a lot more about the problems that they have. So yeah.
Nice.
So I actually gave people 5 points that I was going to recommit to. If you want to go listen to I'm not going to rehash them here, but anyway, I'm going to be trying to revitalize Parlay as part of that. And then I've decided that I'm also going to put together a weekly or is it semi-weekly or bi-weekly? Every 2-week show about, and it's just basically going to be a Q&A for a half hour or so.
The dumb thing is, bi-weekly works for either every 2 weeks or twice a week.
Cis-weekly.
I'll just say bi-weekly. I know, right? Anyway, so yeah. So the idea is basically then, people can come with their questions or concerns or thoughts or whatever, and then whatever they're asking me about, if I don't have the answer, then I can go line up an episode of JavaScript Jabber or Ruby Rogues or something else about it, right? The other thing is that if people ask in advance, then I can prepare some content for them. And I'm also going to open it up so people can ask about careers. They can ask about podcasting. They can ask about whatever. I mean, it's just, hey, talk to Chuck about whatever you think he can help you with. And I'm really curious to see how that works out. And yeah, so I'll put a form up on the website. I'll let people know that it's coming up, and I'll probably add a campaign or a tag where people who are interested in getting reminded about it every week and just jump in. And I'm just going to be using Webinar Jam for that. I used Webinar Jam for the conference, and it worked really well.
Oh, did it?
Happy with it, yeah.
Does it have the delay?
The delay that you get off of Google Hangouts?
Yeah, the Hangouts on Air has like that 30-second delay, or possibly more.
It has the delay. It didn't feel like it was 30 seconds. It was definitely there. Like if I said something and then waited for people to react, it took a little bit of time, but not a ton of time. It didn't feel like it was 30 seconds. But yeah, so definitely setting that up. I also did the webinar not last week, but the week before on the 5 mistakes that are keeping you from getting hired. And I've gotten nothing but rave reviews about that. People loved it as much for the questions that got answered in there as anything else.
Nice.
So,
was that paid?
It was free.
It was free. Okay.
And then I did another one this week that was supposed to be the first paid one. And so I did it to an empty room because I hadn't promoted it well. So that's something that I'm hoping to do with this sale, right? My Independence Day sale is let people know, hey, look, we're doing these webinars, and you can get the whole collection, or you can get the whole collection in the book, or you can just sign up for the ones that you want.
Well, good on you for following through and actually doing it.
Well, the other thing that I'm finding is that, so I pulled together the slides, and I got the webinar together, and I realized that I have basically outlined in pretty good detail the book. And so this next week while I'm in Atlanta, next week I'm in Atlanta, I'm going to be at Microsoft Ignite, which is their DevOps conference.
Okay.
And Microsoft paid for myself and 2 of my co-hosts from different shows to come. So James Zuber from iPhreaks and AJ O'Neill from JavaScript Jabber are coming with. And we're going to do some interviews. But unlike Microsoft Build, which was like 2 days of basically straight interviewing, this one is about 5 days. And I think we have 5 or 6 interviews the whole time. And so the rest of the time is mine. And, Windows DevOps on Windows machines just isn't something that I'm going to get really excited about. They'll probably have a few presentations that might be interesting to go to, but for the most part, I think I'm just going to find a quiet place somewhere where they're having it or close by, and then just get stuff done. And one of the things is getting these webinars outlined and getting the book at least to a rough draft. I would like to get that done next week or the week after, so at least get a really solid start on that. Awesome. And and since I'm only recording the shows that are lined up by Microsoft there, so I'm not going to take the time out to actually show up for any other podcasts except this one. I think I can really get stuff nailed down. So that's been great. And then the other thing is and I know I'm just kind of giving a report right now, but I do have a couple of questions coming up. So one other thing that I got done was I added a step to my automation for guest onboarding for the podcasts, where it sends them an email and says, here's a Google Doc that we'd like to collaborate with you on to, kind of get the story arc for the show and things like that. And it now sends that same email to the other podcast hosts when the show gets lined up. So it says, hey, so-and-so is coming. They're going to be speaking on this day. I'm a little concerned that if they book something out, because they can book up to 60 days out. So if they book something that is 2 months out, I'm afraid it'll get lost in people's email before the show actually happens. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I think that's pretty awesome, and I'm pretty happy with it. So yeah, so a few things that I'm running into. The first one, and they all come down to people that are working for me. So and they're pretty minor things, but I'm just not quite sure how to handle them. So one of the people working for me that I hired relatively recently, we'll call her Bubba.
Oh, Bubba. Yeah.
Bubba,
okay.
yeah, Bubba.
Bubba.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bubba. So anyway, I had Bubba has been lining up the speakers for the conferences, and so Bubba's reached out to people for Rails Remote Conf and React Remote Conf, but I'm not hearing back from Bubba very often, and I finally just said, look, if you can check in every day, even if your check-in is, I'm not working today, but I'm trying to figure out like how else I can communicate to Bubba that I want these, what to tell me and how to tell me it, and just keep me up to date on this stuff so that we can stay on top of making sure that we have conference speakers lined up for the remote conferences.
I have a couple thoughts here. Okay, so first of all, this is one of those skills that I look for when I'm hiring somebody. At least, kind of going forward. I lucked into a couple of people that just over communicate, and like Rodrigo, he's just like, when John hired him, he's an over communicator, and he's always letting us know what you, and I think it's going to be tough to get somebody to communicate with you like that if they're not naturally that way. Right. That has to be something that they either are or they develop. Like, I wasn't that way when I first started working, but then I became that way because I recognized that it was, it helped me in my career. So that's something to look for up front. And that's one reason why like the auditioning thing works so well, because you can usually tell, like if okay, that's one of the things I'm looking for, you can usually tell that from a short little project. Like, you'll hire people on Upwork and they'll be like, they'll communicate with you like 8 times during that. And it's like, oh, I've got it half done. And I'll have the first draft to you, tomorrow, whatever. That's the kind. So that's something to look for. But I mean, now you're in the situation, so that doesn't help you.
Yeah. Well, we did a 2-week trial, which ends today. But okay. I think some of the other things that Bubba brings to the table make it worth keeping her on for right now.
Okay. The other thing that, I think communicating it to her would be good, obviously. And you might also be able to use some kind of tool to help automate some of the communication. So like with my guy, Aaron, like he's an over communicator as well. And he's very good about keeping me up to date. But then I use Trello with him. Right. And so, all he has to do, he doesn't have to email me necessarily or hit me in Slack. He can just drag the card over.
Oh, that's an idea.
And then I get the notification. So I at least see, that he's busy and working on stuff. And, so that I wouldn't use that completely as a crutch to get around the conversation, which I don't think you will, but
no,
it could be
that
could
simplify some of the communication because, for example, with the conference organizing stuff, I could set up a Trello board that's basically, so I have a card for each speaker, and then it gets moved over to this person was emailed, and then, this person has provided all the information about their talk, and they picked a time, and and so then I can see where they're at in the process, and I don't have to wonder because I can just go look it up on my own.
Yeah, and that's a heck of a lot. I mean, it's better than email for sure.
Yes.
It's it's visual. I think they'll find it helpful just in actually, like, part of the problem with this stuff is that the communication effort is always like an additional burden on top of. So if you can make it so that the communication itself happens naturally within the system and it actually helps you get things done more efficiently, then I think you maximize your
that makes sense.
Chances of success there.
Yep. That makes a lot of sense. So the other thing that I'm running into is that my other contractor, incidentally also named Bubba, so he put together a whole bunch of...
Maybe we should call the second one Gump.
Gump. I'll have to come up with code names for all of my folks. I was going to go with Fred, but then I decided that if I hire somebody whose name is anything close to Fred...
Right. There you go.
So, anyway, the other Bubba set up a bunch of landing pages for me in Thrive Themes or in Thrive Leads or whatever. I don't remember. But anyway, Thrive landing pages. And I gave him a step-by-step set of instructions, and he got most of it right, but not all of it right. And I'm trying to decide how, like, I need to tell him what didn't get done right so that I can get it done right. But, how much do I need to be pushing and following up on this before I just say, you know what, it doesn't look like...
So is this also a new person?
No, this is a person that's been working for me for a year or so.
Okay.
But has been doing other things and has mostly been left to his own devices on how that gets done because it's been done okay the way that he's been doing it.
So the question is more, does he continue to do this task or do you find somebody else to do it?
Yeah, but at the same time, if he doesn't do this task, I'm essentially paying for his time full time. And so if he's not doing this, he needs to be doing something else.
Right. So how close was he? Like percentage-wise?
It took me about 5 minutes to fix each page. So I spent about 45 minutes fixing all the landing pages.
So he was 60 to 75% on target with it?
Yeah, probably a little more than that, but yeah.
Did you do the proper training? Or did you train him to do this?
I just gave him the step-by-step.
And
do I need to sit down and walk him through it as well?
Well, the step-by-step, should he have been able to do it all from the step-by-step?
Yeah, but there were like 60 steps by the time I was done.
So let me ask follow-up question there is, why did you fix all of the pages instead of fixing one with him watching?
Yeah.
Because it occurred to me after I fixed the last one. I was like, I should leave one for him, and so I went to leave the last one, and I realized
reason.
That was the last one.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a valid reason.
So with I've had Aaron make a couple of Thrive landing pages for me, and what we did is I basically gave him I sent him a video with like a 5-minute walkthrough of how to. Well, I set up the page. I created the page in WordPress, so he didn't have to do that part. I showed him a page that I'd done in the same WordPress instance, so that he could compare them. And then I gave him like a 5-minute walkthrough, and I said, this is what I want. I basically just kind of gave him the requirements for the new page. Right. And then he did it, and it visually looked close to what I wanted, but the way that he implemented it in Thrive was was pretty messed up. So what I did was I went through, I think I cloned I've done this to him a number of times. I cloned the page in WordPress, and I was like,
you can clone page? How do you do that?
There's a plugin for it. It's like clone WordPress page or something like that. And yeah, you just click clone, and it's amazing. But so I cloned the page, and I was like, okay. And I went through and I sat there on the video, and I was like, we're going to fix this. And I went through and I redid the stuff that he did wrong, and then I deleted the page. And I made him go back and fix his original one. And then I've done this a few times with him where he screwed up an email or something. And so I walked him through exactly how to fix it. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to revert all this. Oh yeah. I was like, I built a whole workflow on a video in Drip, and then I deleted it so that he'd have to rebuild it. So
I've done the same thing a number of times with my video editor. He'd send me something and there'd be, whatever mistake. And so I would fix it, send him screenshots or a video of what I fixed and how, and then ask him to fix it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll be a little more mindful and explicit on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's super easy to just do it yourself.
Yeah.
And
But
to me, it's like,
the point is not to do it yourself.
Yeah, that's the whole point, right?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I think there's a line where it's like, if
he
this is
saved me several hours, but
if this is a repeat, if this is going to be an issue again, and it's going to take you, if it's going to be an issue again, or if it's going to take you more than just like 30 seconds to change it, then I would definitely train.
Yeah.
And even if it's not something that you're going to do again, if he sees how you think about things, that can still be valuable.
The other thing that occurs to me too is that I could probably kill about 90% of my step-by-step if I had the option of saying, clone this page and make these changes instead of here's how you build it from scratch.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Oh, and the other thing, Chuck, on that note, Thrive has templating, so you can like if you've got a this recurring element that you use over and over again, you can make that into a template and just drag it onto the page. You can actually
I tried to use it for something else, and I figured out that that's how it worked. So
yeah, you can actually, like, if you've got a landing page, you can save it as a template, save the whole landing page as a template. I do that now, like with pop-ups and all the forms, because I'm always adding new forms that look like the old ones. So I just have templates that I've made, and then I just tweak the headline, and I'm done, basically.
Okay.
And then if you still have problems after that, then it might be time to consider axing this person. Like, if you've got, if it's a person worth investing in because they have good work ethic and and they're intelligent enough to actually grasp it, then it's worth training them. But if they don't have good work ethic, you can't train that.
Right. That's true.
So that's the one.
Yeah, the work ethic and the communication are two of the biggies that are really tough to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their mommy has to train them that. Like, it's too late. By the time you got to the workforce and you don't know how to work, sorry.
Yep. All right. And then the last question I have, and this is more in the Derek camp than anything else, but I've been working on moving the conferences over to devchat.tv. So the ones through the end of the year are going to just stay on allremoteconfs.com, and then when people sign up, then the replays are going to be on devchat.tv. That's the way I've been doing it for the last two.
Right.
But the landing and sign up page with all the scheduling and everything else for the conference, I'd like to set something up for JS Remote Conf now so that I can start getting speakers and getting people signed up for JS Remote Conf in January. Because I think part of my issue with people signing up or not is that they don't get enough lead time, and I don't have enough time to work out the marketing by the time I have everything together if it's only a few weeks to a month ahead. So I'd like to get that set up now. And I know I can do a custom post type for the conference and then add custom fields to it. But I don't know. So like with Angular Remote Conf, I would have had 12 speaking slots, but the Angular core team came to me at the last minute and said, hey, we'd like to do a Q&A if you're still interested, because Angular 2 had dropped final that Wednesday. And so it was kind of a big deal, and I was like, yes. So adding another slot would have meant adding like 4 or 5 more custom fields to the page. So, I figure I can just grab the HTML that I have for the conference and essentially drop it into the as the theme for the conference page. But adding the talks is something that I'm just not quite sure how to handle.
So I would do a custom post type for a talk. And then using advanced custom fields, you can create a relationship.
Oh, that's true. I can.
So this is exactly what I do with my series and my episodes. So I have a custom post type for episode, and there's 170 entries in there. Well, that's a giant list of what the crap am I supposed to do with that, right?
Right.
So then in my post type for series, I use the advanced custom fields relationship type, and I say go pull from not only the episode custom post type, but also from the interview custom post type. So I can pull anything from either of those two post types into the series post type as part of the relationship.
Oh, gotcha.
And so that way you can just go add as many talks as you want, and then you go into your conference and you say, okay, for the talks list, I'm going to select this one and this one and this one. And then there's a query that you run inside of your custom page template to list all your talks.
Yeah, list all the talks, sort them by
date,
and
and
sort them by date and time, and then
right.
The ones for each day you put in the different spot. Yeah,
exactly. And the ACF documentation is pretty good with the relationship on how to build those and do the queries and stuff.
All right, sounds good. And then I can just have that custom post type have its own theme, because that's what I'm doing with the shows anyway. So it can be totally and completely different from devchat.tv.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I've thought about like getting a new design every year for the next round of conference talks. But so many people have told me that they like the robots and they want me to keep them that I'm just going to leave it alone.
Might as well, right? Less work.
Yeah. So anyway, back to the work ethic thing. If it turns out that I do determine that there's a work ethic problem, I mean, how do you judge that, or do I just kind of have to play that by feel?
I mean, in my opinion, if you're not if you go through this and you're not happy with the results, then it's time to change.
Okay.
People. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you should be people that work for you, especially when you're this small, you should be thrilled with them. Yes. Otherwise, they shouldn't be working for you. That's my opinion. It's like, and I've gone through this enough times now that I'm like, if I'm not thrilled with you, then it's not that you suck. It's just that, like, I want to be thrilled with every single employee.
Right. And I've been pretty happy with Bubba and with Bubba, but I want to make sure that I'm trying to be funny when I say that. But anyway,
but as an example,
have you guys seen the old Bob Newhart show? I love that show.
My name is Larry. It's my brother Daryl. It's my other brother Daryl.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yes. So there, as an example of what John just said, my video editor that I've been using for the last 5 years, which I had to tell him this week that I don't have any money to pay him, so he's no longer my video editor. When I first started working with him, it took us about 6 months of going back and forth, which was realistically like 6 episodes, because I was only doing one a month at the time. So it took us 6 episodes for him to understand what I wanted and how I wanted it to work. And then it was like another 6 months of me just spot checking, reviewing. And then for the next 4 years, I literally didn't check any of his edits. Right. You should be able to get to that point where you do not have to even think about the work that somebody is doing. And if you can't get there, then they're not working out.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Like Aaron, so I give him a lot of responsibility. I mean, comparatively for my website, like so every week I give him my emails to put in Drip, and he goes in, he edits them. He has the authority to make small typo corrections and stuff. He then writes custom calls to action for the posts that he publishes, because I republish them on Medium and Quora, and he writes calls. I mean, like, I'm a copywriter, and like he's like adding to my articles, and what he does afterwards is he just drops the whole thing. He like copy and pastes them into Slack and just says, FYI, here's the typo corrections, here's the calls to action I used, and I just scan through them and like I say thanks basically, and like so I'm reading. Chuck, I think you read this recently too, but I'm reading Essentialism right now.
Yeah, I've read it.
And it talks about the I think it was Derek Siever's like hell yeah or no.
Right.
And that's like really where you need to be with your team.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you know, like you've got, if you feel like you don't have that team right now, well, you know what you can do is you can hire people for small jobs until you find those people.
Right.
And then, you know, make changes at that point if you need to. But you don't have to find that person right away and or you know, just like clean house and then rehire. You can try it. You've got something that's sort of working now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that makes sense. So one more question that I have for you, and this is if you go to devchat.tv now and you look up at the top, it now has shows, conferences, webinars and events, and then about and donate. And I'm trying to decide if, you know, similar to, again, talking about Watch Me Code, you know, should I have something in here for the different avatars? Are you new to programming? Are you looking for awesome JavaScript content? I don't know. Or, you know, should I have like devchat.tv instead of listing the shows, actually, you know, say, go here for podcasts and go here for conferences and, you know, here are upcoming events. And
I might start taking that route if I were in your shoes. Since you do have more than just the shows at this point, the homepage can start to be a little more marketing oriented, where you talk about what the DevChat TV brand is, you know, the mission statement, the goals, what you're doing, and then you have, you know, your homepage section for the podcast where you talk about them and you list a couple, and then you talk about the conferences where you talk about some of them, and you do the same kinds of just basic introductions and outlines and overviews over what the major areas of your site is and what your company is really all about. Additionally, I would kill the pop-out menus on the top of the site. Just give me, I mean, having the menu items show conferences, webinars, that's fine. But make me click on those instead of giving me this giant list of 20 things that I have no idea what it is.
Okay, I appreciate that.
The webinar and events one in particular goes all the way to the bottom of my screen. I'm on a 13 MacBook.
Yeah, if those went to separate landing pages where you could talk about it more, that would be...
That makes sense. The other thing is, though, is like if you click on webinars and events itself, it takes you to a webinars page. And it's not very pretty. And I'm wondering if I should actually redesign the website so that it works more along those lines.
I would get the major structure in place first. I think this webinars page is functional right now.
Yeah.
There are other larger problems that need to be fixed before you work on a design for the webinar listing.
Yeah.
Right.
So Chuck, I kind of feel like there's different like types of businesses and different types of homepages depending on what your business model is, and you're kind of like a publisher. So I feel like the purpose of your homepage should be to get people off your homepage as quickly as possible.
Okay.
That's not always the case, but basically you want to get them off the homepage and into their topic area and narrow it down as quickly as possible, and then almost like your subject matter pages, like your second level pages, almost become like home pages, and that's where you would do more of like what Derek was talking about, and more like what Derek's doing even with.
Well, and that brings up an interesting thought. Instead of what I said before, where you have the homepage section for conferences and for podcasts, maybe you do start with your original question of your avatar. And you have the homepage list, I'm a JavaScript developer.
Right.
And then on the JavaScript landing page, you show them the JavaScript webinars, the JavaScript podcast, the JavaScript.
And I would also add the first purpose of those landing pages is going to be to capture email addresses.
Right.
Because you can use that to grow everything else.
Yeah. Once they're on that JavaScript landing page, you instantly ask them for their email address, and then you start telling them all about JavaScript and all the amazing JavaScript things that you have.
Right. So when I'm doing that, though, when I'm listing, the different shows and maybe some episodes and some upcoming events and things like that, I think it's going to be a pretty significant departure from the way that the page is laid out now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, should I be looking at some, because I don't want to build the theme from scratch. I'm sorry. I just really don't. If I can get something that's kind of close to this, to this idea, and then, work it so that it's what I want it to be, would that make sense? Or
yeah, I started with a base theme from Genesis for WordPress. And if you look at what I have now, I mean, it looks almost nothing like what the original theme was, but it gave me the core structure that I needed, and it showed me how to customize everything to get where I wanted to be from there. And in your case, you're probably going to hire somebody to do the real work of
probably.
And that's great. If you can do that, then by all means do it.
Mm-hmm.
If you start the process yourself, make sure you pick a framework, theme, etc., that you'll be able to find developers for.
Yeah, I already own Genesis, thanks to you.
So if you're on Genesis, get a base Genesis theme, one of the ones that they include out of the box.
Right.
And after that, you'll be able to find a Genesis theme developer, no problem.
Right. So the other
thing you might want to. So I would recommend doing your homepage completely in Thrive.
Yeah.
And then possibly also these second tier pages also in Thrive. Although it would be hard, I imagine it would be hard if you wanted to pull in dynamic listings of stuff like shows, like, episode summaries and that sort of thing. But there might be a way to do that within Thrive with the short codes and that sort of thing.
Yeah, you can. If you can put widgets into Thrive or shortcodes into Thrive, then you can do everything in Thrive.
I'm not sure if you can put them into Thrive landing pages. But I mean, at least
into Thrive landing pages. That's how I get my checkouts and stuff in there.
Shortcodes, yes, but I don't know about actual like widgets like WordPress widgets. But yeah, so I would definitely, if nothing else, just use Thrive to mock it up. Get it looking the way you want, and then you can have a developer just build it.
Yeah.
And Thrive will give you like a lot of the HTML, and I think from what I've seen of their HTML, it's like not bad. It's not garbage, so it might give you a good starting place.
So one last thing that I'm running into, and that is that all of the webinars, in order to set up those landing pages, I have to use an actual page in WordPress. Like if I try and set up a custom post type, I can't get the Thrive theme editor or whatever it is to launch for those pages. It only works on WordPress pages.
Yeah, Thrive probably limits the editor to that particular post type.
So it's been kind of a pain to manage that, and I'm still figuring out how I want to do that. But I keep thinking there's got to be a better way.
One thing to confirm: did you make sure that it was published? Because the Thrive,
I tried
the Thrive editor, all right, the Thrive editor, I learned that the hard way. I spent like an hour or two trying to edit an unpublished page in Thrive, and it just wouldn't do it.
Lately, I've been able to actually save it as a draft and have that work.
Maybe it was a bug and they fixed it.
But yeah, so there's not a good way around that. Of course, ultimately, with a lot of these webinars and stuff, I'm using the same landing page from Thrive. So I could conceivably just get an HTML layout that I can just use as that landing page for those webinars, and then just have some custom fields I use to edit the copy.
And to Josh's point, using Thrive might not be the end result, but it may be the thing that gets you down the path now.
Yeah.
You build it now, you get it done in Thrive because that's what you have and it's easy. And then once you have it, once you have the structure, once you have the core of what you need, then somebody comes along and builds the advanced version for you, the custom theme, the custom plugins, all that kind of stuff.
Yep. Yeah,
Which I am officially a WordPress developer at this point. My custom theme and plugin is like ridiculously large. I've got like 30 PHP files in my Watch Me Code custom plugin to manage all my episodes and series and ebooks, and I've got all this crazy custom widget code that I'm writing and short codes and all these things. My PHP code is garbage, like horrible garbage, but it works.
You could just delete that. You could delete the word "my" out of that sentence, and it would still be true.
Well,
Now I'm gonna have to cover mine. Well.
Kidding. I learned PHP was the first real programming language I learned.
Yeah, but it works. It's like, okay, I'm now officially a PHP WordPress developer.
Yeah, but that's the other thing too, is that as I work on, and I can communicate this to my listeners and just see who's interested in getting updates as I, try and rework the site, and then I can get their opinions. Do you like this? Do you hate this? And kind of work from there.
You have a Slack for all your shows?
Yeah, it's kind of a ghost town. I've thought about actually going in and, setting up, go here to join the Slack.
Mm-hmm.
I've also thought about making it a part of the paid thing. So if you sign up for one of the forums, you get into the Slack, or if you buy one of the products, you get into the Slack.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's where I've been doing the communities for the conferences, is they get invited to a private Slack channel.
Nice.
So I have a few people. I have a couple hundred people in there, but
right.
I haven't really done a ton there.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest if you did have an active Slack community, I get really good feedback on Watch Me Code ideas, content ideas, but also site structure ideas. Like a lot of what I've done in the last week has come as a direct result of this show, because a couple of people have emailed me with some really phenomenal feedback and ideas on improving things, which I've already been using. And then by posting my mock-ups and thoughts into the Watch Me Code Slack, I got some really good feedback, which is one of the places where I fleshed out the whole guided learning idea.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do have an active community of people somewhere, then definitely reach out and get feedback. Just remember that you're going to end up with a camel when you needed a racehorse. So you have to temper the feedback against the real goals and directions that you have.
Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, I can put it out there and say, hey, what do you think? And
I think what you want to be doing, I think when you ask for feedback, this is a great tip that I got from, I forget where. So it was somebody in the writing world talking about when you ask for writing feedback, ask a specific question. Don't just say, what do you think of this? Like, how, is this navigation confusing to you?
Mm-hmm.
What would you do first on this page? Like, ask those types of questions. And then people will volunteer like other information, which is fine. And sometimes that's what you want. But by giving them something to focus their attention on, it's like less of an open invitation to just rip the whole thing to shreds in a non-constructive, helpful way.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could also,
maybe Slack's not ready for that, but you do have your email list, so you've got you can always carve off like a little segment of people that have bought stuff from you and are like hyperactive on your mailing list and read everything, and just ping them and make it real short and personal.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm thinking, is that I may just say, look, I want just outline the goals of a redesign, and then say I'm looking for some people who can give me some positive or some constructive feedback as I work through this, and then let people opt into it.
Yeah.
And that way I'm not bugging them a lot.
A lot of people you could actually push them to Slack.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people would actually be like thrilled and stoked, to have the opportunity to spend a little one-on-one time with you. So
yeah, totally. Yeah,
especially if their name Bubba.
Yeah. Yeah, all their names would become Bubba when the show started. And I could just see them walking around town, and somebody goes, "Hey, Jimmy," and the guy, "No, I'm Bubba," and then it gets real confusing, and then the show ends and they're back to Jimmy. I don't know.
Yeah. Now you're not going to be able to hire someone named Bubba, and that's going to be a problem.
Right.
Yeah,
Lots of Bubbas are highly qualified people. So.
they are highly qualified people.
It's like that Ron White comedian skit where he's talking about his friend who he doesn't want to name, so we'll call him Larry. And that's not Larry the Cable Guy or anything like that.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's those are kinds of the things that I've been trying to figure out lately. So I appreciate the feedback.
Oh, so I got a big win. I'm going to be interviewing Eli, the computer guy, on Monday.
Nice.
So
Woo!
yeah, so that's cool. You probably noticed that my channel was coming up on the side of as the top recommended channel from his channel. So that's good.
Nice.
So so that'll be pretty interesting. He's a really, really interesting guy, and he's got a huge following on YouTube. So that'll be fun. We clicked over 40K subscribers on YouTube, so that was a cool milestone to hit.
Very nice.
Yeah, and we also we finally figured out. So I am officially now a full-throated YouTube supporter. Whereas before I was still somewhat questioning it, because I got to see the numbers, man. You got to show me the numbers. So we have this tool called vidIQ, and it's basically like a YouTube management app that gives you some additional stats and reporting and some power user type tools. But one of the things it's got is called these description campaigns, which basically lets you go in and just add text to the beginning of every description of all of your videos.
Yep.
So what we did was we created just like a really short one-line thing that promotes one of the email courses, and that sucker has been it basically went across all 800 or however many videos there are now, and it added that one-liner at the top. And before, what do
you mean at the top? So is it so
when you go to YouTube, you see a video.
Mm-hmm.
When you open on the web, all you see is like one line of text from the description, and you have to click a button to expand it.
Okay.
And so this description campaign goes into all of your videos via the API and adds whatever text you want to the top of your videos.
Yeah.
So it's like basically a way to turn all of your videos into display advertising at any given time, and you can promote anything. Like if you've got a really great blog post and you want it to go viral, you could just promote that. We're using it right now to promote the email courses, but yeah. So after that went live, we had in the last. If you look in Google Analytics at our traffic from YouTube, it looks like a hockey stick. I mean, it was like we were getting like 10 to 15 hits a day, and we were getting more traffic than that because there was type-in traffic that was coming in as direct. And then if you're on the mobile app and you click a link, sometimes it'll switch browsers, and that'll come through as that link will come through as direct none in Google, and you can't see where it came from. Right. But we went from getting just 10 or 15 hits a day from YouTube to over 100, and we've gotten we're probably going to end up getting 300, 400, 500 email signups a month from YouTube just with this one thing. So, and then that's going to grow as we get more traffic. So right now we're getting 350K a month views on the videos. So as that grows, we're just going to get more and more eyeballs on those descriptions and more traffic from it. So I'm really excited. We've actually gotten now to the point, I'm looking at Drip, and when I started working with John, he was averaging 50 to 60 signups a day, was where the list growth was. Mm-hmm. Now we are between 110 and 140.
Jeez.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, so we've more than doubled the growth at this point. We're over we're getting we're pushing probably 3,500 to 4,000 subscribers a month. So,
and you're attributing that to YouTube or just?
No, it's a lot of things. I've tested a ton of different opt-in forms and kind of gotten the pop-ups dialed in to where those are converting pretty well. So I'm doing this, like, I'm kind of doing the death by 1,000 paper cuts thing for our growth, where I'm like, I put together a big list of like everything I could possibly think of that would have some incremental effect, where I know, like, if I did this, it would get us, 0.5% more of something per month. You know, so like I had Aaron go back. So one idea I had was to I'm measuring different micro conversions, like steps along the way. And one of them is I got to get traffic to the sales pages. So I had Aaron go back through our 100 top most popular blog posts and incorporate some kind of link or pitch to just check out one of the sales pages for one of the products. And that seems like that has increased our sales page traffic, like a small, not a huge percentage, but a measurable percentage that should long term have. You probably get 1 or 2 extra sales a month out of it. But it took me, like 15 minutes to give him the assignment, and most of it was just pulling the data out of Google. So like I've been doing stuff like that, and then with the with the email growth, it's the same deal. Like I'm just like, okay, what can I do? What are all the little things I can do that will all, improve things by 1% that will stack up on top of each other?
Right.
And I also got retargeting running on. So now, like, everybody, when you come to simpleprogrammer.com, you are going to get retargeted to either sign up for 5 Learning Mistakes email course, or the new 7 reasons software developers are underpaid email course. So I've got retargeting ads running for both of those. When you sign up for one of those, or if you visit one of the product pages, you're going to get retargeted with an offer for that product. And I also got it set up so that if you sign up for one of the email courses and I'm pitching you the discount offer, you're going to see Google ads related to that discount offer for that time frame. So you'll be getting emails saying, hey, get 20% off, and you'll be seeing Google ads saying get 20% off at the same, and it'll be synced. So like those are things like the retargeting is going to be, it's going to probably only bring in a couple of extra sales a month, because you have to go to a sales page to see the ads. And we only get, a certain number of people doing that every day. So it's all small stuff, but it's going to snowball.
Yeah, the cumulative effect.
Yep.
And we switched over to Zaxa pretty much.
I freaking hate the shopping. The entire, a pox on all of you. Everyone who makes shopping cart software, get your act together. It's all terrible. I have looked at so many options at this point. I've been through personally been through at least a half a dozen to 6 to 8 easily different shopping cart solutions, and they are all terrible. Oh, so the thing that I want to do is like kindergarten stuff for online marketing. Like if you do, what I want to do is I want to have a sales page, and I want to have a buy now button. When you click the buy now button, I want to take your payment information. You click OK to order the thing. Then I want to show you another offer. It's called a one-time only offer. And this is like every marketer, every like internet marketer out there does this. None of the tools make it easy to do.
Yeah.
And so then the idea is like you can click OK, and if you click OK, I won't take your payment information again. It'll just bill your credit card again. And if you click no, then you just complete your order.
Yeah. Well, if you click no, then another offer comes up.
You could do that. If you can create the endless maze of offers if you want to, but for right now,
what about that?
What's that? Yeah, like if you've ever checked out with Vistaprint, they're the best at this. Like they will upsell you and downsell you, and like it was actually fun to go through their sales funnel just to see, because they hit me with so many upgrade options. It was hilarious. But yeah, so I've checked out. I was really excited about on Wednesday. I've been on this shopping cart roller coaster all week, where I was like on Tuesday, John was like, Josh, you really should check out Shopify. I was like, no, Shopify would not work for us. And then on Wednesday, I checked out Shopify, and I was like all excited about Shopify because it was it has way more like nice. It's just so much nicer than everything else out there. And then Thursday morning rolls around and I'm completely dejected again. Shopify sucks. It'll never work for us. Yeah, we're on this janky platform now called Zaxa, and it does most of stuff what we need, but it's pretty ugly and pretty clunky. And I basically have to like to get all the tracking stuff I wanted, like with Google Analytics. I have on my computer. I now have a separate file for all the tracking tags where I've copy and pasted. It's copy and paste reuse, like for the win. I've copy and pasted all of the code and I've edited it by hand and manually installed it into all the different products and everything. So, but it's it'll once I get it all done, hopefully it won't be a maintenance nightmare.
But it does two critical things. One, it has the one-time offers, upsells, downsells, all of that. You can customize that to your heart's content with the way that Josh described, which is critical because that's. And then the second thing is it has subscription-based like payment. 3 payment, 4 payment. You can divide it up into payment plans. So.
Yeah,
having both of those things, that's the only reason why we switched off of DPD is DPD had those things it would have been fine, but having those things is going to be critical to be able to move forward with our, because it's going to make a big difference, I think, overall in being able to make those offers and stuff. So
the payment plans. So we added a payment plan to How to Market Yourself. And I was looking at it this morning, and so far we sold, since I've got it all set up, we've sold 26 copies of How to Market Yourself at 3 different price. I made price tiers just as an experiment. So we've sold all 3 price tiers, but so far the number one, by far and away the number one most popular option is the top tier at $99 a month. So, Derek, it would be actually kind of amusing, but it might be worth for you to test 3 monthly payments of your full year subscription as 3 monthly payments instead of, because it gets you under that $99, that magic $99 mark.
Right.
And I even was in the way that I put it on the sales page is that the full price option is the big red button. And then you have to click a text link underneath it that says, or 3 payments of $99. So it's not like I'm even featuring the $99 as the price and then saying, or one, like a lot of people will do that where they'll like do the bait and switch on you where it's like, you think that it costs $99 out the door, but it's actually, they're promoting the payment option as if that's not even doing that at all. Like you actually kind of have to work to see this the monthly option, and people are going for it. So
we're seeing pretty good sales, I think, with that switch.
Yep. Yeah. So it would be kind of amusing to basically turn it into like a 3-month, 1-year subscription. Because you know what I mean? Like it's back to a subscription model, but it might be worth. It might actually help. So. But yeah, so I think we're gonna also, the pricing tiers thing has been interesting. So I arbitrarily created 3 pricing tiers for How to Market Yourself. There's a $99, a $199, and a $299. And literally all I did was I just took some of the ebooks and videos and put them in bucket 1, more of them and put them in bucket 2, and then all of them in bucket 3. And so far the highest price is far and away what people are buying. So I think I need to go back and I'm going to probably raise the price on the full bundle to like $399.
Yep.
And possibly even $499. And you can just spread, you can still like people, it'll still be $99 a month because it's just more and you're just adding more months. So yeah, so that's been a lot of fun to test. It seems like it's definitely helping us too.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And then we're also testing the $1 workbook with one-time offer, but I don't know if have we gotten any one-time offer sales?
We have not gotten any takers on that. So I'm thinking, I mean, I think that is one of those techniques that works. That I was John and I were talking in Slack, and I have this whole bucket of techniques that are based off of like some of these classic books, like the Cialdini book, Influence. Influence.
Yeah.
Influence. And they're really good. In theory, the techniques make a lot of sense, but in actuality, I think that they're much harder to reproduce in a real world environment than they are in the laboratory, and in some of these science experiments that they do. So the whole upsell, the tripwire thing works, but I think you have to have I think it has to be like you're running massive amounts of cold traffic and testing the heck out of this offer, this $1 or $7 offer, and then you're also able to test the heck out of your sales page and your upsell funnel. And I think that actually stumbling into a combination of things that works really well is not as easy as a lot of the people that promote that approach want you to think.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny. I just read his new book called Persuasion.
Oh yeah.
If you haven't seen that, it's decent, but it's like you said, I can't stand social psychology because they draw these conclusions. Like some of the stuff is I listen to it, so I'm familiar with all the new studies that come out, right? Between, this person drank Kool-Aid and they had sugar, and so they were able to focus longer and willpower, all that stuff, right? And because everyone quotes the hell out of those things. But the problem with all those studies is that they're very, very situational. They're not it doesn't, and they're very group. They're very group focused. There's so many things that when you test these things in isolation, I totally believe that it's valid that that pre-setting someone up, if you talk to them about about $1 million lottery, and then you get them and then you ask them to buy something that's a coloring book for $5, more people will buy the coloring book because it seems cheaper. Yeah, maybe 60%. Sure, fine. But when you're talking about an actual business and an actual situation, you can't isolate that one. You can't just it might be the color of the room that you're bringing people in that's influencing them, and then what your sales page looks like, and what they know about you, and there's so many more variables that you can use those principles that they discover from the social psychology experiments, but you can't just assume that they're going to work. You can kind of hold them in the back of your head and apply it to the art that your marketing, but you can't. It's not a science. It's not we can't take some of these things and make them into hardcore sciences. And that's what
I always used to freak out when I'd have prospective copywriting clients, and they'd be like, I had this one guy in particular, he was like, yeah, so I want you to mix in some open loops, and he was throwing out all this NLP terminology, I want you to use future pacing and some open loops, and we're going to really make this thing sing. And I'm like, oh, buddy, you're just that's amateur hour, the business fundamentals of the thing are 95% of the equation. And then that stuff is 2 to 5%.
Exactly.
So John, my wife is a PhD in social psychology.
Okay, yeah.
And everything you just said is 100% correct, because what gets published in the kinds of places that you're reading is dumbed down for the general masses. It's not the actual science.
Exactly.
It's not applied to the right scenario when it gets written for New York Times or Redbook magazine or whatever. My wife hates reading these kinds of studies as well, because all she does is pick apart how terrible the writing is and how they got the theory wrong and how but when she goes back to the actual studies and she's like, oh yeah, that's a great study, that was a terrible article about it.
Right, because if you look at one of those studies, if you actually have the patience to actually read through one of those studies, what you'll find is someone who's actually a social psychologist who analyzes that, they say, oh, well, there's 5 different conclusions that we could draw from this, and we're not sure of any of them.
Right,
but
here's
it kind of indicates
the strength of
Yeah, it might be this and it might be that, and under
significance.
certain, it's a much more new. It's the same thing like when you talk to an actual astrophysicist or an astronomer, and you talk about dark matter or something like that, where people always rail on me. They're like, "John, you're such an idiot. You don't believe in science." And I'm like, no. But if you actually talk to someone who really, really understands this stuff, they also say, yeah, that dark matter stuff is kind of shady. It's like our best thing that we think about right now. Like it's, but you know, there's a lot of reasons why that could not be true. But we're just going to use this model for now because it works. And it's like, so you have to have someone who really. What happens with these books and these articles is they just take the dumb down. They look for the information they want. They're like, oh yeah, people with red hats, they're definitely more likely to murder people based on this study. So let's just like take that and run with it. That sounds great. So now we'll say, you know, you should definitely not wear red hats because the study showed 75% of people that were wearing red hats were murderers. So
to that point, you can prove that if on days where more ice cream is sold, murders go up. that is legitimately provable, because on those days more people are outside because it's probably hot, because there's a series of correlations that my wife teaches. She teaches that particular correlation, and what most people don't understand is the difference between correlation and causation. Right. And when you get into the nuances of these studies, it is situational. These studies are done with very specifically controlled environments. This room, you know, this scenario, these people, everything about the study is controlled so that they can make sure that they get information that is valid for a large number of people within the same circumstance.
Right.
And the reality, the real world, is that we're not in the same circumstance. We're not in the same room. We don't all have these magic lights that suddenly wash Josh out in the background. We're all in different scenarios, but when we look at people as a large group, these things generally hold true. It's the individual that varies, not the large group.
Right, and that's why. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. So right now, when I was at SumoCon, Ryan Levesque came in. And Ryan, I have a lot of respect for him as a marketer. He's a super sharp guy, but he's like. He's real big on the whole consistency and commitment thing. Like you get them to click a button, and then they're much more likely to take the next step. And in his presentation, he literally sat there and told everyone, if you add, you know, if you put a button on your page instead of the bare opt-in form, and then you ask a series of survey questions, your opt-ins will go up. And that has never held true in any time I've ever tested it. And so I was like, I asked him afterwards, I was like, have you tested it like again? And he's like, oh yeah, we tested like every 3 months we test this again. I'm like, okay. So I'm testing it again. And I'm like, so I took one of our pop-ups and I'm like, all right, well, the pop-up had the bare form. So what if I just stick a button on it? So they have to click the button to get the thing before I show them the HTML form to put their email address in. And it's still very early in the test. It's a very small sample size, but it is underperforming. The consistency and commitment version is underperforming by about 33%, and I expect that will be the case throughout the test. Like adding a step, in my experience, always reduces the overall response. Like almost no matter what. I guess if you are running a ton of traffic and you can test a ton of things, maybe you can get it to a point where it doesn't. But it's like. It's just, so, and everybody in marketing takes that whole consistency and commitment thing from Influence from Cialdini, and they take it as like gospel, and it's like, no, it doesn't really work the way you think it does.
Maybe it works in their scenarios because they are in the scenario where it does work, but in our scenarios it doesn't. You know, it's
not a blanket.
You have to test it in your. One of the biggest problems with a lot of psychology studies is that they are very controlled groups of people, you know, who come in. They don't run these studies across, you know, multiple nations, multiple subgroups, multiple. You know, you get research being done at universities. So who are the people that are involved in the studies? Well, college kids.
Yeah.
Right.
So
yeah.
all of those factors have to be accounted for when we take the results of these studies and actually try to apply them.
Yeah. And people who will actually voluntarily sign up for a study is another subset. There's, yeah,
a big part of that particular problem is mitigated by making, I can't remember what they call it. There's a certain type of credit that students at Baylor have to earn every year, and one of the options is to do a number of studies in the psychology department.
Yeah, but if you had people that don't care, they're gonna
yeah,
you're gonna have a certain, but
right. And some of those, a lot of that data is thrown out as well.
Yeah,
that's why your sample size needs to be huge, because you need to be able to account for.
Right.
Well, look, this guy was clearly not interested. He was just randomly doing whatever. We're tossing his data out.
And people don't understand, I think, also, like, just in the whole space of psychology and marketing. I mean, it all applies in any. There's this whole thing, metagame, right? So when I used to play Magic the Gathering a lot, like, you would have these strategies that would work, right? And you would optimize your strategies, but it would shift. The strategies would shift based on the metagame, which is to say that as people discover these strategies and started using these strategies, now a counter strategy became more effective. And there's always this metagame that's always changing. Like, you couldn't just be good at the game. You had to be good at the game, from a mathematical and fundamental basis, understanding resource management, time, and all these kind of things. But you also had to understand what was going on in the metagame, because that was going to influence what's going to happen. And this happens, as these psychological social studies come out and books become bestsellers that have them in them, and we start to employ these things in marketing, and websites start to use them, and all of this information subconsciously, whether you directly hear about the study or not, it influences the metagame of human psychology, of the human organism living on this planet, which is an organism unto itself, right? From this psychological standpoint, and it changes. And so by the time that it's become mainstream, the implications of it may be totally different. Our psychology has shifted just because of the way that people have reacted and done things. And I mean, this is extremely apparent in the marketing world, where stuff stops working. And it's like, well, how could this be? And well, it's because it's subtle things that have happened, that have shifted, that this whole butterfly effect. If you can't understand why you can't understand why the metagame changes, but it changes, So I think that's the other piece of it. And Brian Harris actually at SumoCon actually kind of hit on this, because he was talking about this idea of use the same tactics, or the idea behind the principle behind the thing, but don't do the exact same tactic. Because doing the blog post roundup of 100 experts, that stopped working. But the idea of getting of producing content that is interesting to people from someone else's authority, or extending that's a principle that works. It's just that tactic is overused, so it stops working.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the principles don't change, but the manifestations of the principles change constantly.
Yeah.
And if you're only focused on a lot of people get stuck where they're completely focused on the manifestations, and so that's how you end up on the hamster wheel.
Yep. So, all right, should we do our thoughts? Are we?
Yeah, that'd be good.
A little over time.
I guess I'll go first and just reiterate what I said earlier. If you need help, get the help, however you need to get it. Find a friend, talk to a religious leader, call a therapist, do whatever you need to get the help you need.
Yep. I think my thought really just comes down to, if you serve people well, then when things get hard and they see that, people come out and will support you. So, more than anything else, I basically just want to say thanks to all the people who sent me emails and said, hey, we still support Ruby Rogues. Hey, we still support you. Hey, we really care about you. It's just awesome.
I guess mine would be to kind of draw an analogy between life and a football game, even though I don't really know that much about, don't follow professional sports, is the idea that like the yardage is gained inch by inch, and you have to like, true success doesn't come from how far you can push infield. It comes to how much yardage you can hold on to, how much of that. And so you can't always make a running play and drive 20 yards in. I'm talking like I actually know what I'm talking about with football, but
you're not really making sense though.
but my point is that like you have to hold on to it's more important to hold on to the game. So in life, you're not always going to be able to press forward. You're not always going to be able to be making forward progress, but what's going to determine whether or not you reach a level of success or not is, can you hold on to what the progress that you've made, right? And that's the key. Because some people, what they do, or what the temptation is that they're pushing forward and they're making all this forward progress, and then when they stall out, they don't just stall out, they roll backwards down the hill, and that's the thing that kills you. That's the one thing that kills you. If you can hold your ground, if you can, when you're not feeling good, when you're down, when you go through this roller coaster, and you can say, look, here's what I'm going to do. I realize that I'm not in the mental state to be able to make forward progress, but I'm not going to let the stuff slide. I'm not calling up Domino's and saying, give me 3 pizzas with everything on it, and I'm just chowing down. I am not like calling off the, whatever it is. I'm going to like slog through, do the minimum that I can to get by and hold on, tread water for a period of time. And then when I get the energy again, I'm going to make another push. And then whatever push I make forward, I'm going to hold on to that ground and not give that up, right? And I think that's good football strategy, but right? You don't want to give up the yardage, right? That you've worked so hard to gain. And I think that's the key. Is it's when I look at my own life, and I look at people that consistently fail, it's not because they couldn't push forward. It's because when the hard times hit, that their reaction was their reaction. I'm hunkering down, and you are not taking from me what I got. I'm gonna I don't feel like going and running or doing my workout, but I'm doing it. I might not be able to do it with as much intensity or as enthusiasm as I'd like, but I'm doing it. Right, or whatever it is. I'm writing today. I'm writing my code. I'm doing whatever it is. Or do they get to that point when they just like fly off the rails and then let everything drop and they roll back down the hill? Because that's the key differentiator. It's not how good you are at pushing forward. It's how good you are at keeping what you've got.
They don't play football on hills.
They should. That would be awesome.
The
whole field, like
the football field is a half pipe. As you get closer to the end zone, it gets steeper.
Yeah,
and you got to literally go up a vertical to get to the end zone
with pads on.
Yes,
I like it. So I think mine will be that understanding, like investing time in understanding how you, just what makes you tick and how you do things is almost always worthwhile. So one thing I was thinking about this week, I have this problem where with my kids, like I want to be like actively involved and play with them and stuff. And I tend to get, when I'm around them a lot, I tend to get really short. Like I get frustrated and short tempered, and it really bothers me. But I realized, I was thinking about it and doing some journaling about it. And I realized, one of the things I realized is that basically, anytime I have any kind of, I'm very goal oriented, right? And anytime I have any kind of goal, and there are like trivial things that I see as coming in and interfering with me achieving that goal, that like, I'm pretty patient with a lot of things, but that in particular really pushes my buttons. And it's why why I got so frustrated with iOS development, was like Apple making these subtle little changes that would break all my code. I had no ability to, there's nothing I could do about it, and no ability to, and I was just in reactive mode all the time. And so I realized that with my kids, like a lot of the situations that I put myself in, I have goals for them that I'm not realizing that I have the goals. And then everything that they do becomes an interruption and like is something keeping me from that goal. And it's triggering it's pushing the Steve Jobs button that that so frustrated me with coding. So I don't know the solution to that yet, but I'm working. I'm going to be looking. What I need to do is like put myself in situations with them where they are the goal, and there's not even like it's not even like if I go outside and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to kick the soccer ball around with them. Well, that becomes the goal, kicking the soccer ball. And if they want to do something else, I'm like, no, we're kicking the soccer ball now. So,
oh man, you described me to a T with that.
Yeah. So it's a problem. I really don't have a good solution for it yet, but it's just having that realization this week was an eye opener for me. And so like investing that time to think about problems that you have and quiet time is like really valuable. That's my thought.
When you solve the problem, let me know, because I got the same problem.
Yeah, I don't know that there is one easy solution, but I think realizing it will help somewhat. So
yeah. All right, guys.
All right.
Same time will cause more trouble next week.
Time, same bat channel.
I'll be calling in from Atlanta, so
awesome.
Fun.
All right. Oh, you know what? I'll be running a half marathon.
You gonna call in?
I think I might be able. Let me just check real quick.
I want you to call into the show while you're running the half marathon.
Well, I'm doing the half marathon on Sunday, so I'll be in Northern California. Oh yeah, I think I should be. I'm flying out on Thursday, so I should be able to call in. So yeah, cool.
Yep. Awesome.
That
All
works.
right.
I gotta go jump into office hours now. Trying that out. All right. See you guys.
See ya.
Bye.